Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Lisa Russ-Spar. I'm the founder and the director of the area program in poetry writing of the Department of English at the University of Virginia. It is the end of April as I speak to you, and in about a week's time, in a normal year, the 10 graduating students in the area program in poetry writing would be gathering to celebrate their time here with a festive reading and reception to which we would invite family, friends, faculty, classmates. At the end of what has been an especially difficult year for many of us because of a global pandemic, we find that we're once again unable to gather in person in that kind of way. So instead, what we're doing is offering this celebratory reading by the 10 students graduating in the program. They will be introduced by third-year students, as is our custom, and I want to thank all the third-year students for throwing some extra love to our fourth years this way. Without further ado, I'd like to congratulate the class of 2021 and also say that this is the 19th graduating class of the area program. So next May, we'll be celebrating the 20th class, and I hope that all of us will be able to reunite in person, or as many of us as possible, to celebrate the wonderful program that we're part of and the students who are so invaluable to its beauty and success. Welcome, enjoy the reading.
Hello, my name is Allison Kinney. I'm a third year in the area program for poetry writing. You're about to hear some poems by my dear friend Jay Baker. These poems make me feel like I'm out on a walk, and Jay is pointing out chestnut trees and trumpet players, litter and glitter, all kinds of delights and detritus. Sometimes the places in the poems are familiar, which is exciting for me. And sometimes they become familiar through hearing Jay describe them. They're very wandering poems, and they're very welcoming poems, and I am confident that you will enjoy them.
Hi y'all, my name's Jay Baker. I'm a fourth year graduating from UVA's area program in poetry writing, and I've got so many people to thank. First, Lisa, obviously, for her kindness and the decades of work she put in building this program, which feels like a home more than a major. And thanks to Allison for that lovely introduction and for her friendship and for making me feel like a perpetual motion machine. Thanks to all the lovely faculty here who have been so generous with their time and comments. Thanks to Greg Orr, who first taught me that poetry can save your life, his quote, not mine. And thanks to Jeb for helping to put this video together. And lastly, of course, thanks to all of the lovely and insightful people you're about to hear read. It's been a very strange 4 years for all of us, but I could not have asked for better people, better artists, and better friends to spend it with. You guys inspire me every day, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. I'm only going to read one poem for you today. It's called Porch, and it's the first poem from my capstone project, which is called Porch Song. Porch. Sitting in a folding chair on the back porch, I am 7 again, my father nailing unused lumber in the yard to the maple tree's solid trunk. Useless handholds I will ignore, climbing his back instead and begging to be lifted into the branches. Where does my body end as I climb the rungs of his body and disappear? My knobby young fists briefly full of his worn-out cotton tee, then empty. When did my body become my body, and for how long? I've been home for 4 days, and for hours I've been still and staring at the unmowed yard, noticing how green deepens when grass is left to grow, how dandelions were dead things once, this dirt filled with things called alive and not. It's springtime, and the maple has started to bloom again. Yesterday, I went to the woods and found a deer's skeleton picked clean. I don't know what it means to die, but I know even this second, on the porch, The flies coating the siding are beside themselves with it, sucking desperately on the vinyl's unseen collection of tiny sugars, airborne from the maple, buzzing with the ecstasy of it all, short-lived. Now I'm caught on a spider, the one in my hand, flung there by the wind, her slight weight foreign but content in my palm. She fixes her eyes on me, and I see myself reflected. Two small creatures, perplexed or pleased by the double warmth of the sun and the currents under my heartline. They say your palms can tell your future. It's a miracle, this being anything at all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia Chandra, and I'm a third-year student in the area program in poetry writing. Today, I'm going to be introducing Elliot Carter. I met Elliot at my first open mic night here at UVA, and it was my inaugural look at what poetry here could be. For me, the most memorable moment of the night was when Elliot took the stage and shared a poem that was just so full of verve and vulnerability. One of those poems that disquiets with its passion and calms with its beauty. All of Elliot's poems are like that, at least the ones that I've had the honor of experiencing. For you all listening at home, I hope that the poems you hear tonight inspire you as much as they inspired me that day. Without any further ado, here's Elliot Carter.
Hello, my name is Elliot Carter, and I'm a fourth year in the area program in poetry writing. Thank you, Sonia, for the introduction. I'm going to read two poems, the first of which is titled A Note on Grammar. I used to be in an abusive relationship. I was in an abusive relationship. Used to, or was. Does either make me look stronger or less at fault? Used to denotes a past habitual state. Was denotes totality of being. I was in the bed. I was on the porch. I used to live in that house. I used to sit on that porch. I was yelled at. You used to kick me out the house some nights. I was not deserving. You were too drunk to drive me. I used to walk home. There was never a chance to show you what I can do with sunrise. You used to call after me down the street to say how worthless I was, or used to be. And the second poem I'm going to read is called Long Stalked Loneliness, which is an address to a flower. Desert bloom, you parched throat. I know a thirst brought about by a jaw hinged open to the sky. The longing when only dust settles. I know what it feels like to be on fire. I know the methods to become quenched. I've tried a few. In one, I held my head under, and only the sun dug me out the grave. You poor thing. Out of an entire bush, in the middle of California's worst drought, and the world always on fire, and the wistful sky, you were the only bud on the plant to open up and say, I can take this. What story let you know? All around you, a mix of stamens and stigmas more solitary than dim stars, are learning how to drown, waiting with their mouths open for wind or wings to introduce the two of you. All in the hopes you will spawn a child who knows to tell all parts of their self, to bloom. Thank you to all the professors and associated people with APPW.
My name is Isabel Calderon, and I'm a third-year student in the area program in poetry writing. I'm so excited to be introducing KG today. I feel so fortunate to have been able to read and discuss KG's work with her, and I find all of her poems to be deeply considerate of small moments and movements of intimacy, and of course, body. Her poems find delicate and touching ways to present physical being through a consistently striking and contemplative voice. This work evokes themes of careful interrogation into bodily relationships and origins. It's an inspiring feat in which each poem delves into the smallest details, withdrawing with new perspective. KG's poems are beautifully provocative, and each of her pieces fall into place with one another in a ripening of ideas surrounding body, fruit, and color. And so it's my pleasure to now introduce to you KG.
Hi, I'm KG, and I'm a fourth year in the area program for poetry writing, and I'm going to read 2 poems for you guys today. Halfway to Nashville. Yellow morning skyline, good morning Whiteville. Good morning scratchy blue tree line, and blue unspecified mountains I've never seen from this far south. Good morning green tea, and cardboard hotel cup, a sun in my winter palms. And cream cheese bagel. 2 cream cheeses cardboard bagel, and the water tower hot air balloon outside my window. It snowed last night, unexpectedly. March spring snow. Black cows shiver across the street, birds chirp on ice in the parking lot. I've never been so acquainted with the spirit. Here I am patron of winter springs, Whiteville traveler, and this good morning earth. Warm cloth. Again, my body rises with the sun, eyelids sealed shut with night crust. Mama again wipes with warm cloth to unstuck my eyes. Every morning, I'm afraid this is the day they won't open. Again, I hold her hand to my face, and again she tells me to be calm. Morning always begins with the warmth of mother love. She opens up my eyes, and she gives me the sight of the sun. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Isabel Calderon and I'm a rising 4th year in the APPW, and I'm excited to introduce Emma Carnes to you all today. Emma is such a lively and dynamic poet, and in her work she acknowledges both the triumphs and the letdowns of girlhood and womanhood in such an enchanting way. When Emma sent me her capstone, I was planning to definitely peek through to get a feel for the project, of course, but when I actually sat down to read it, I ended up reading through the entire thing, like had to pee, didn't want to move so I could finish reading, read the whole thing, and I think that really speaks to Emma's work as well. It really does feel like this generous hand extending out into the ether with a tenderness but an equal strength to it, and she asks from us as an audience only that we don't turn away from this enthralling energy, but that we feel it right there with her. And that's exactly what I hope you all are excited to do right now. So once again, I'm overjoyed to be introducing Emma Carnes to you all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Carnes, and I'm a 4th year in the area program of poetry writing. I'm going to read 4 poems today from my manuscript called Hope Making. The first 2 from part 1, which is really about young girlhood, and then 2 from part 2, which is about the transition into womanhood. And before I get going, I just really want to thank my introducer, Isabella, and Lisa, of course. Thank you so much, and all of my fellow capstoners. You guys made this experience really special. So this first poem is called Girls, Bees. Girls. Catch bees in cupped palms, spill raspberry smoothies, dance in the red Mets. Laugh, lies, snarl grace, skip hopscotch on bat slick black top, sing boys' initials till a toe trips, face hits, leave each other out, kiss each other in, chopped lips, mean spit, teeth chipped, snatch tulips and shake gold stamen like tambourines till pollen rains, climb steeples, confess and sin again, sleep in, get stung, and sting. And then next is Girls' Artichokes. Eat steamed artichokes on the church bricks with butter. Brush the grease along your forehead, once without knowing, so the greenest street lamp light rushes there. Eating isn't always right angles. Sometimes you're half off the chair, the plate tilted in your lap, even your socks all buttery, even the stovetop on. Your mother must have told you, don't compromise. Labor makes a thing yours. You can hold it on your tongue before you swallow for days if you want. And insist on how you are taken. Insist it with, in, and as your body. And then moving to part 2, the only thing you really need to know about this poem is that Alden is a dear friend of mine, and Ithaca, New York is where I'm from, my hometown. So self-portrait as Ithaca, New York. Oh, the oscillations of departure. Go a monarch with corrupted wings. Go back a bird in the atrium of a storm. No matter where the going, such a nascent shame. I bring Alden home with me to my 4 hills, my gash of a glacial lake, my drug addicts dancing in the streets, my dusts and shower mists, my corners of smashed ants, my stinky matches and pan-burnt fish, my fitted and particular descents. Out of what excess do mythologies grow? I tell Alden, Ithaca's where he thought of it. Yes, the yellow brick road. Some sun hit the asphalt with the ecstasy of another world. And then finally, these little mothers are houseplants, and they are boat builders, and they are tea leaves, and they are body heat. And they are the dirt, and they are the tide, and they are the honey for the horse throat, and they are the heartache of the girl skipping rope. And they are hungry, and they are holding out their hands for fruit, and they are making a canoe of my ribcage to voyage somewhere new. Last night at midnight, they lifted me up. I was like a great tree across their backs. My body throbbed with the hurry of clouds passing through a sky. I believed there was a thread of insistence tying us all up. And then the night went back to being a place to sleep, and they became again their many disparate things. Thank you so much.
Hello, fellow Wahoos, friends and family watching. My name is Abigail Grace Calafian. I am a 3rd year in the area program of poetry writing, and I have the honor to introduce to you the marvelous, magnificent, beautiful, very self-expressive Miss Nan Marsh. Nan, congratulations, you did it. You're graduating in a pandemic, and you wrote poetry. Thank you for your gift to this world and for, just the emotion and poetry that you put out there. Nan's poetry deals with sense of body, chronic illness, childhood, imagination. She mingles sadness and disassociation with groundedness and nature and beauty and aesthetic. And I can definitely tell that poetry is just a safe space of catharsis and contemplating life. And it's a gift to the world. I hope that you continue writing poetry, and I'm excited to see where life takes you. It has been a pleasure to be in a poetic seminar with you last semester. Sometimes I run into Nan at the grocery store. Honestly, I run into her more than anybody else. I hope I keep running into you. You're so beautiful. So give it up for Nan Marsh.
Hello, I'm Nan. I'm a 4th year in the area program in poetry writing. This first one is Grudges. If you wanted them to, the hummingbirds would gather above the baby's crib and still the canopy. If you wanted them to, the cardinals would meet at dawn and quilt a blood-red sky. If you wanted it to, psychic force could tip over the glass and crack all the shells we keep hidden. If you wanted them to, the dogs wouldn't bark at night, the baby wouldn't cry, all the grudges in the Etch-a-Sketch would lose track of the score, extend like a finger to the birds. This next one is the evaluation. The nurses mirror each other in their plum-colored cardigans behind my own knotted outline. The 3 of us taking a careful watch as I stick on the insertions. I am a paper doll, standing blankly in her underwear. In an undershirt too thin to shield my nipples, I feel wholly girl, staring blankly back into the eyes of strangers. This one is called You're All There. Sometimes I mourn men all at once, melt their shouts into mosaics, let it spill onto me like light. Each one saw a different woman in me, so I pay tribute to the women I became in secrecy. In dreams, they hold hands, with not a single one speaking. No words for the 1,000 women they never really met. This last one is the 3 a.m. reunion. I grip the windowsill like a lost child at the pool in the center of summer, to bob my head back under or to try and find a familiar face to offer up a sloppy wave. There's always the lamp post before the street curves into trees. There's always the street curve that is washed up like me. Both stained in red taillights, caught in the rifts of the just passing through, the lamp post with the light on for the two of us. Twilight of unbelonging, emerging into a forgetful shroud, being passed through, or passing through, turning back into clouds. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Elliot Dilworth and I'm a third year in the area program for poetry writing, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Audrey Parks. Though I've only been in one workshop with Audrey, I can confirm a couple of things about her. One, she knows at least something about any book you could possibly bring to the checkout counter at New Dominion. Two, when she's DJing, you won't be able to stop nodding along. But enough of that, on to Audrey's poetry. Audrey's poetry gives life to the everyday. With a keen eye, it looks out the window as it moves through the world, writing for the things we don't often pause for. West Main Street, the oyster, the mandarin. Audrey's poems encompass love in its many mutable forms. So sit back and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Audrey Parks and I am a 4th year student in the area program for poetry writing. I would like to read 2 poems about the intersection between vehicles and insects. This first one is a pantoum for bees. On a morning nearing the first freeze, we stumbled upon the bees clinging to the sweet bushes at the fringe of trees, languidly grasping for the mouth of morning. We stumbled upon the bees clinging to the insect depths of their bee dreams, languidly grasping for the mouth of morning, for the pull of the dream within the thing. In the insect depths of their bee dreams, the bees held fast and fistless to their flowers, for the pull of the dream within the thing invites them away from awakening. The bees held fast and fistless to the flowers growing quietly along the road. Invited away from awakening, they enter the rhythm of sleep. Going quietly along the road, the cars murmur and seize as they enter the rhythm of sleep, a metabolic, mechanical idling. The cars on the road murmur and seize, while a conscious undoing is done by the bees, metabolic, mechanical idling, on a morning nearing the first freeze. This second poem is an ode to cement mixers. Mama Spider, glowing grub, rumbling across town, teach me how to keep my makings new. All I'm saying is, I want to be more like you. I want to ruminate time with a quiet turning, a cement chew. Teach me to be imprinted by lightness, too, to form foundation from mastication, to form purpose from gyration. Nothing can emerge until you let it. Nothing is set in stone until you set it. Nothing hardens inside your ovoid soul. You rotate within yourself and roll. Teach me how to control my spout until we reach our places of pouring out. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kiara and I'm a 3rd year APPW student, and today I get to introduce Jamel. So Jamel's work explores the Bible. It explores the identities of Blackness and queerness and how they overlap. it challenges the idea of time through this collaging of past and present. It tracks these relationships between lovers, family, and friends, and it's very blunt in the best way possible. I feel like oftentimes we're told as poets to like create these metaphors that say what it is we want to say without saying what we want to say. But there's a way in which Jamel uses that in a new way, for he says exactly what he wants to say, exactly how he wants to say it, and in that exactness creates the metaphor that then gets a little bit closer to truth. And I'm really excited for him to share a little bit of his work with you today.
Hi, I'm Jamel, a fourth-year student in the area program for poetry writing. Mending. If I learned how to stitch, I'd become God. I'd create vibrant doilies with vibrant fables pieced together when placed on the expanse of an ash table made of world tree. Swirling grains would serve as stock patterns of the universe. Connected chain stitches would serve as roots, tying together worlds where I now am both protagonist princess and prince. If I knew how to frog, I'd unmake me a human once in love, and place myself in a world where I could untether from you, the lover who has kept me bounded here. I'd unravel and instead seam myself to a world without you. I'd simply make new clothes and bleach the thread stained with you. You'd become a project dawdled over but never on as I unmake you. My fleeting thoughts instead become intricate lattices to be stored in a china cabinet that I will never use. If I learned how to knit, I'd remake you. I'd make me you, a human you that becomes an essence you on a secure sweater you. And I'd hope that one day you'd want to be the scent on clothes that people remember, not because you're gone, but because to them you know you matter deeply. So that when I hold you, the I you, essence once human you, sweater and scent you, you feel humanly buzz when I touch you, when I smell you, so that maybe when you're inside me again for the last time, you'll finally know that I loved you. In the space between atoms. In the space between atoms, secrets are birthed, then folded in swaddling blankets and whispered to sleep. In the space between atoms, time suspends existence. In the space between atoms, memories play of lost but also found. In the space between atoms, clairvoyance lies by only showing the may happens. In the space between atoms, sound becomes too weak to hear, becoming a sort of friendly forever fade out. In the space between atoms, it hums, leftovers from creation and remnants of the parental lullaby. In the space between atoms, it is light, like sun, but also like air. In the space between atoms, it is dark, like depth with no bottom. In the space between atoms, there is space filled with the longing for atoms to touch. In the space between atoms, there are atoms, absent, showing the universe is weakly stitched together.
Hello, my name is Siobhan McPherson. I'm a third year in the area program in poetry writing, and I have the lovely honor of introducing our very own Casey Roper, a fourth year also in the area program. Casey is also in the Distinguished Majors program of the Media Studies major here at UVA, and Casey is also the president and editor-in-chief of the Q, or Queer Anthology of Culture here at UVA. And one thing I love about Casey's work is just how fun and joyful it is to read. It often takes fun and surprising turns. A phrase that sums it up very well, I found in her own manuscript, was linguistic acrobatics. So without further ado, here's Casey Roper.
Thank you, Siobhan, for that wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Casey Roper, and I'm a fourth year in the area program for poetry writing and the Distinguished Majors program for Media Studies. I'm eternally grateful to Lisa Russ-Spar, whom I've had the pleasure of knowing for my entire undergrad career, and all of the poetry professors I've had, as well as all the poets I've had the pleasure of meeting and workshopping during my time here. The amount of creative ferocity in those rooms, whether physical or virtual, has never ceased to amaze me, and I don't think it ever will. For today's reading, I'll be reading just one poem, Self-Portrait en Quatre Jours. Play, garden, gardenia, niña. I don't speak Spanish, not anymore, though I did order for my whole table an espagnol a few years ago mais la française has completely replaced it. Accent aigu et accent grave en place de, comment on dit tilde? Je ne sais pas. I don't know why I switched to French. Peut-être je veux faire à point à propos de moisième. That's not a real word. It translates to me, nth, myself, raised to the power of nth, tenth, or maybe hundredth, ninth, gent, lent. Oh God, no, I would never practice what someone else preaches. Pray to an entity, mentality, forsake duality, for binaries never existed in the first place. We just invented them. Carbon copy, men, women, but we have always been more than that. I have always been more than that. Put on a different hat. I've toujours aimé les animaux empaillés. Have you heard of squishmallows? They're basically marshmallow fruits or animals que vous pouvez étendre toute la nuit pour les je suis très gratuite. Mine is a pineapple, like my necklace and my breakfast. I got a pineapple hat. Oh, wait, that's an inside joke. Yolk hued, I stole that, and dead mice in blue water. Don't drink, think nothing of it. Love, if you love me. Bring me a carbon copy dove. It dives down deep in my throat, comes up with lapis lazuli. Is it really Lee? I always thought it was lie. I'd never lie to Lee. She's my best friend. Is this chaotic enough? Lattice hoarding hipster, arcane trickster, and sets of 7 unique die. That's a lie. I'm a ranger, a forever stranger, a word arranger. So call me La Floriste with a flair for fidget toys. Usually I hold my mug, lawful neutral, a hug of hot chocolate. That's another inside joke. Always plant a willow, never an oak. It takes more than quatre choses d'écrire moi et les problèmes des champignons. Taylor Swift was my first kiss. I wish. Ce n'était pas tout grec. Cela n'a jamais été censé être concrète. I am a carbon copy pineapple with raspberry eyes. Boil me in my tea bag with a side of cat hair. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jo, a third year in the area program in poetry writing, and I have the distinct honor of introducing RJ Selby. The first time I heard RJ read was back at a Flux Poetry Slam in the fall of 2018, and I was struck by their ability to maintain the attention of the room with such tenderness and care and emotion. Reading their poetry is much the same experience. Very few poets are able to weave together pain, intimacy, love, identity, and classical influences with as much clarity as RJ. In workshops, they bring that same wisdom and attention to everyone and truly help you learn more about yourself and the world through poetry. We are so lucky to be learning and writing in the same space as RJ, and I genuinely cannot wait to see what their future holds.
I'm RJ. I'm a fourth year in the area program for poetry writing, and this is Metamorphosis Poetica. 1. I muse. Let me be indefinite, composition without edit, whole. Let me be whole. Let me into this haven of fallen leaves. Let me be a whole in and of fallen leaves. A caterpillar grub, segmented piecewise and made of hands. Let me be made of hands. A bitten peach, a fuzzy caterpillar, a covered fist made of leaves, too. I diffuse. There's divinity in the liquid filling these cracks, this ink, let the cold ebb its eddies. And I know I am whirlpooled with hands braided peach fuzz together, an hourglass filled with leaves, a caterpillar made of hourglasses filled with leaves, alive and infinite and chrysalis and alive again. 3. I muse, I diffuse, I renew, a peach pit cocoon wrapped in leaves and violets and filled, all polish and perfectly pink and orange and yellow and fall, and it falls. The hourglass, almost mirror or portrait, shattered, and there the peach fuzz, unrotten, unyielding pile of leaves that taste like freezing and forgotten evenings, teeming with this thing that begs intangibly to be written. 4. I choose violets, and a heart evolves, forces tied it into form, and to howl wolves, this inversion tides for us and into moons, forced, contoured, conceived into something that flies and descends, in oceans magenta we flow into mountains, stark shapes and wrapped in round concentric, the flying thing's heart through the wolves' howling form, and become nebulous and forged into, and become physical and forged into form, forced into form. 5. Violets. This woven husk, it is this heavenly wind, it is filled with voices howling color to some moon that flies, filled with birds flinging paint into shape. This is a shape, a form filled with hearts, hourglass hearts. The shape is love, a force, moon as hearts, birds as hearts, a peach, waves, hearts, we, hearts, and I know I project. And I know I conceive, and I know I am composed of howling, and purple, and infinite, and inks, of something that sings, of something that slings paint onto some shape that thinks, magenta, majestic thing that thinks and sings and flies, and made of howls, hold this husk, lungs, inhale this dust, fold this amethyst, this chrysalis, gentle, gentle thing, fold this into a heart, floating, howling and held between the palms, the peaks of its own wings. It will not tear, only sing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Davis Coffey. I'm a third year in the area program for poetry writing, and I'm delighted to introduce Skyler Wampler today. Moon-marked and touched by the sun, Skyler's work is at once grounded and intimate, while also unbounded and ethereal. Through the contemplation of the breath, rhythmic, uninhibited, in the body, reinventing, held by the earth, and the soul, a wild creature slipping through worlds, Skyler touches on what it means to love and be loved, on the empowerment of nature, the depth of loss, on extinction, flowers, womanhood, and witchcraft. Skyler listens to the water, sings with the light and darkness, and screams with the wind. She dances, worships, dreams. Above all, Skyler is ceaselessly growing, learning, and becoming, in harmony with the melody of being. And through her poetry, she invites us to do the same.
Hello everyone, my name is Skyler Wampler. I'm a 4th year in the area program for poetry writing. While I wish we could be in person, I am honored to have had the ability to get to know all of my professors and cohort over the past 4 years. It has been one of my greatest joys to bear witness to all of your work, and I will carry it with me for years to come. Also, thank you to Davis Coffey, who introduced me, and I will be reading 2 poems for all of you from my manuscript, Bloodline or Ball. The first poem I would like to read is called Lullaby. Lullaby. There are no ghosts in the attic. Monsters will not be found lurking in closets or peering from blackness beneath beds. On nights like these, starlight lulls shadow creatures to sleep and drapes itself gently, shining and thin, as gossamer on branch. The presence of centuries past reaches gentle fingers to smudge joy across tooth and lip. Glancing up reveals drops of opal light falling through worlds. The girl finds herself resting lightly, sleepy, almost dreaming, as beast grows closer to beast, and the beholder finds herself beheld. The next poem I would like to read for you all is called Shucking Corn. Shucking Corn. The easy afternoon kisses my hands where they settle, pressed into the husk of the ear, green, still damp from the soil. My grandmother rips those leaves, removes the silk, and snaps the shank without hesitation. I'm too aware of my clumsy fingers, tripping over themselves as I peel strand by silken strand from the beaded kernels. Piano fingers, she called them, when I missed too many notes, long and graceful. I catch her, sometimes, looking at her own hands, gingerly assessing those twisted joints, catch her tapping out hymns on the gap-toothed keys Wednesday morning. There's a pile of husks strewn on today's newspaper, the headline blank staring from underneath. Another refugee turned away, and I stumble again. The breath, this time. Maybe it's the wrinkled skin that makes mine seem so soft, not spotted from days in the sunshine like hers, the farmer's daughter. Like so many other days spent learning how to bake, to sew, to pick ripened strawberries. Those moments dripped soft, like melted butter pooling under steaming corn. I haven't found my calling. What it is to look at moving hands and not falter. There's so much to learn. How to save a world, how to shuck corn. Thank you.